The US and Ukraine have published a joint statement on the peace plan. Following closed-door talks in Geneva, the countries announced that they had agreed on an updated framework document. The statement notes that the discussions between the American and Ukrainian delegations regarding the US peace proposal were constructive, thorough, and marked by mutual respect.
Both sides confirmed that any future agreement must respect Ukraine's sovereignty and ensure a lasting and just peace. The final decisions on this framework document will be made by the presidents of Ukraine and the United States.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio stated that the participants in the Geneva talks had made tremendous progress. He added that he had already discussed the results of the talks with Trump. Rubio thinks he's satisfied. The Secretary of State also stated that the U.S. understands the red lines of both sides and that Russia has yet to express its position on the plan.
It's still too early to make the results of the Ukraine talks public. They are ongoing. I think today was the most productive day we've had on this issue in a very long time.
President Zelensky, following the report from the Ukrainian delegation after the first round of talks in Geneva, said,
"It's important that we're having a conversation with the Americans, and there are signs that President Trump's team is hearing us."
Volodymyr Zelensky will travel to the U.S. this week to discuss the peace plan with Trump, Reuters reports. According to the publication's sources, they will discuss the most sensitive issues of the peace plan, such as the territorial question. 2 peace documents were brought to Kyiv. According to media reports, an American delegation led by U.S. Army Secretary Dan Driscoll visited Kyiv on November 19th to discuss 2 projects. Among them is a peace plan consisting of 28 points, which have already been published by Axios. This is not a final document, but rather a framework material for negotiations between the U.S. and Ukraine, which took place on November 21st in Switzerland. The second document, titled Framework Agreement on Security Guarantees for Ukraine, is modeled after the principles of NATO's Article 5. The draft contains 3 points. The first point provides for the use by the U.S. of armed forces, intelligence and logistical support, economic and diplomatic actions, and other measures in the event of renewed armed aggression by Russia against Ukraine. The second point states that NATO members, together with France, Britain, Germany, Poland, and Finland, commit to act in coordination with the U.S. The third point stipulates that the agreement will be in effect for 10 years, with the possibility of extension. At the same time, Reuters has published another version of the EU's peace plan for Ukraine in response to Trump's proposal. According to Reuters, the peace plan provides for limiting the number of armed forces to 800,000. The nuclear power plants will be restarted under the supervision of the IAEA, and the energy produced will be divided equally between Ukraine and Russia. NATO agrees not to station its troops in Ukraine on a permanent basis during peacetime, and Ukraine will not attempt to regain control over the occupied territories by force. Notably, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio stated to journalists in Geneva that he had not seen any European counterproposal.